In today's show, the Trailblazers are playing their best basketball of the season. How are they doing it, and can they keep it up? Welcome to Locked On Blazers. Let's get into it.
You are Locked On Trailblazers, your daily Portland Trailblazers podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
What's up, world? It's your past first point guard and Trailblazers reporter Mike Richmond. You're listening to another episode of Locked On Blazers, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, available wherever you get podcasts and also on YouTube. Thanks for making this show your first listen, coming at you each and every weekday, Monday through Friday. So make it a part of your daily routine. Make it your first listen. Tell your friends to do the same. Locked On Blazers, your team every day. In today's program, we're recapping a couple games over the weekend. Wins in New Orleans over the Pelicans and a win in San Antonio the following night. Back-to-back dubs Friday and Saturday. Blazers have won 4 of 5. They're playing their best basketball of the season undeniably. Deni Avdija hooping. Donovan Clingan hooping, getting contributions from enough other players to find ways to get it done. We'll get into all of that. We'll recap both games. We'll talk about why they're playing well and whether they can keep it up and what is the sustainable part of this stretch as they head towards the All-Star break in a month and march through January to get there first. Let's do our fastest recaps in the West, though. To begin it, Friday in New Orleans, Blazers coming off. They got beat down by the Thunder, just an absolute dominated by the Thunder. But the Pelicans aren't very good, and the Pels are missing some of their guys. You know, no Herb Jones, no Trey Murphy, Derek Queen is out. The Pelicans are already not very good, and they're a little bit shorthanded. Matches the Blazers, who remain shorthanded. Jeremy Grant still not back, didn't play in either of these games over the weekend. But this is very much a winnable game, but it's a place of also maybe the Blazers' worst loss of the season when they were even more shorthanded and just kind of got punked by the Pels. And it started out looking rough. Blazers had 5 turnovers in the first quarter. They committed 9 fouls, which led to 13 free throw attempts for New Orleans. Because of the turnovers and because of just poor defense in general, Pelicans had 20 points in the paint. And they're up 8 after 1. But the lead, whatever, the 37 points. Pels up 37-29. New Orleans can score. Under James Borrego, they can score, but you just can't give up, nearly 40 on the road and have a chance to win. And the Blazers settle in after that. The opening 12 minutes are a little bit dicey, even though the opening 8.5 minutes were really a lot worse. And the Blazers kind of settled in. They found they trailed by double digits by as many as 10, and they kind of said, okay, we have to not be as sloppy and as stupid, and they played a clean game from there. Dominant second quarter, 34-18. The Blazers outscored the Pelicans in the second quarter, take an 8-point lead into halftime. But in the second quarter, the Blazers committed 1 turnover. They did not send the Pelicans to the line. 0 free throw attempts after 13 in the first quarter. And they have a comfortable lead at halftime. And then in the third quarter, Portland continued to play clean, but they just couldn't make shots. They led by as many as 15, but they were 1 of 11 from 3. If they make even just 2 more threes, they'd probably put this game away then. But instead, they're up 10 heading into the third, and because of the bad shooting. But again, a clean game. They really. The bricks aside, they were playing a much better brand of basketball, and then they just burst out of the gates to open the fourth quarter. 10-3 over the first 2 minutes, 17-7 over the first 5 minutes, 5 and some change, 5-11, and so they turn what was a 10-point lead into a 20-point game. With 7:50 left, and that's pretty much it. They hold on from there. They cruise. Pels got as close as 14, with 2 minutes and 15 seconds left. They cut it to 12 with 34 seconds left, but it was over. Blazers win 122-109. That's your fastest recap in the West. It was probably really over when Caleb Love hit his 4 3-pointer with 8 minutes and 43 seconds left in the fourth quarter. That's what he does. He makes shots. I mean, he has been recently. And when the Blazers, as you know, the Mike Richmond guarantee, if Caleb Love comes off the bench and makes 4 3-pointers, the Blazers will never lose. He made 6 in this game. They're never losing those games, and they don't. This was their first double-digit win in over a month. It had been since a game in Cleveland in early December, in December 3rd, where they finally okay, we're gonna win. We're going to win it. We're going to win a game with comfortably. It was just their 4th non-clutch win of the season. They do not rack up particularly many wins when they're not close. This has not been a thing. And 2 of those non-clutch wins were very early in the season, when when they were healthier in the first 6 games. Like this is just a different team. They don't really blow teams out. They handled the Pelicans after the first quarter. Handled them. They had a season low 9 turnovers, but notably only 4 in the final 3 quarters. A clean game. Not hitting double-digit turnovers for a team that turns the ball over more than 15 times a game. Huge, right? They had 26 turnovers against Oklahoma City to begin the road trip. Pels are bad on defense, but like the Blazers are one of the league leaders in live ball turnovers. They can commit dumb turnovers against anybody, and they really play a clean game. And because they played a clean game, they just won easily. They won handily, and they hadn't done that in so long. Deni Avdija was awesome. 34 points, 7 boards, 11 assists. He was 10 of 19 from the floor, 3 of 5 from 3, got to the free throw line, made 11 of 15. Shaedon Sharpe had 23 points. Caleb Love, 22 and hit 6 threes. Donovan Clingan, awesome game inside, 11 points and 15 boards. Tumani Kamara hit 4 threes. If you're going to, you get that type of production and you don't turn the ball over, you're going to be in business, and they were in business. They roll. And so then they head into San Antonio. Second night of a back-to-back, Spurs also, so no rest advantage. But, Spurs not playing with Devin Vassell, not playing with a large Frenchman, Victor Wembanyama. They had lost to the Spurs without Wemby earlier this year in the in-season tournament, but Vassell played in that game. And so, Vassell is he can really shoot, and the Spurs are good and deep, and I like the way they play. I think Mitch Johnson is a really good coach, and I don't think I would have said that last year. He's really impressed me with the focus and intensity and sort of purpose that Spurs play. I'll talk about that a little bit more later in the show. But the Blazers come out of the gate right away and just start knocking down shots. Donovan Clingan hits 3 threes in the first quarter. He has the Blazers' first 11 points. Gets a little lob and then hits 3 threes. He had 14 total in the quarter. The Blazers as a team hit 6 threes in the first. They're up 35-24. They build a lead to as many as 15 in the second quarter. Looks like they might run away with it. In fact, I cursed the Blazers by texting a friend like, this is as good as they've looked and blah, 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 blah. And the Spurs came charging back to close the second quarter. My bad. That's on me. I will not send those text messages in the future. I will. I'm not afraid. I don't believe in the jinx, but I did immediately was like, well, I did it. But 4-point game at halftime, and the Spurs come out in the second half and immediately respond. They immediately take the lead back, and then they get a brief 1-point lead. It's a back and forth game. Spurs lead by as many as 3 points with about 5 minutes left in the third quarter, and the Blazers close the quarter on a 16-6 run. They take from a 3-point game to all of a sudden they're up 7 heading into the fourth. A really, really, really important close to the third quarter. Like that. That's how you win games. Those little spurts, right? Then Caleb Love, Ryan Rupert hit 3s to open the fourth. Blazers up 13. They're on a 22-6 spurt over about 7 minutes. Like a huge run to give them a control of the game. But the Spurs are going to make a comeback. The Blazers play close games. It's what they do, and the Spurs are pretty good. It's De'Aaron Fox. It's a tough 3 in the corner with about 3.5 minutes left to cut the Blazers lead to 3 at 101-104. Then after Donovan Clingan splits a couple free throws. They get a lob inside to Luke Cornett. He dunks. 2-point game. Blazers call a timeout. Said, okay, 2-point game with 3:14 left. We got to get it together. And they do. They get 2 offensive rebounds in a possession that eventually leads to a Deni Avdija 3-pointer to push the lead to 5. But the Spurs won't go away. It's 5-point game with 2.5 minutes left. De'Aaron Fox pushes, gets a quick floater inside. Tumani Kamara hits a wing 3. Blazers respond right away. Back up 6. But the next 2 possessions almost cost the Blazers the game. Stephon Castle drives inside. He kind of leans into Deni and draws an and one. The Blazers challenged it, unsuccessful. I kind of think sometimes they call that a foul, but of all people, Deni cannot be. He really wanted that call, but that's like a Deni move, right? He absolutely, Stephon Castle initiates the contact. Absolutely, he jumps sideways, but Deni is like moving forward. He is not a stationary defender, and I think that's the explanation. Castle hits the bucket, and after the challenge hits a free throw, 3-point game. The Blazers immediately turn the ball over. Castle gets out for a dunk. There's a minute and a half and a 6-point lead with 2 minutes left. Is now a 1-point game. And Blazers come down. Deni drives inside. He kind of misses inside initially in a crowd, and then he kind of grabs the ball and then loses it fighting in a crowd for the offensive rebound. And because he's kind of in that scrum, the Spurs get to push. And De'Aaron Fox with a chance to hit a go-ahead bucket misses a little pull-up midi, right? He just misses misses a shot that would have given the Spurs the lead. Right in the paint, leaning back, brick, short. Blazers come down, clock's ticking under a minute, and Deni Avdija hits a walk-down superstar, you better believe it, three-pointer to give the Blazers a 4-point lead with 49.6 seconds left. This was one of those where they just needed to score. They hadn't had too much trouble scoring, but they had turnover. And so it's like Deni said, we're not, a turnover and Deni driving into a crowd. And Deni said, no driving into a crowd. As soon as his defender got his heels below the 3-point line, he stepped into a top of the key three, cash. 4-point game with 50 seconds left. Spurs get a couple offensive rebounds on their next trip, and Harrison Barnes gets a wide open, just a great look at a three off the mark. Blazers get the rebound. Caleb Love actually misses both free throws, giving the Spurs another chance with 22 seconds left, down 4. De'Aaron Fox misses another shot, another little mid-range shot in the paint. Caleb Love gets a rebound. He makes 1 of 2 free throws this time. Spurs, down 5, have to hurry with the timeout left and 13 seconds to go. They miss a 3. Blazers rebound. That's your ball game, 115-110. I think the Blazers are playing their best basketball of the season. They've won 4 of 5. They won back-to-back road games in New Orleans and San Antonio. This is the best ball they've played. Let's talk about that and a little more about this Spurs game in the second segment. Join me there, won't ya? First, I want to tell you that today's show is brought to you by Prize Picks. Whether you're starting a new routine or jumping into player projections for the first time, trying something new can feel like a challenge. But with Prize Picks, always feels good to be right. With high-pressure football matchups every weekend, elite hoops action almost every night, the action never slows down, and Prize Picks lets you stay in control. Prize Picks is a daily fantasy app that makes watching sports even more exciting by letting you build lineups based on player projections. No drafts, no waiting, just pick more or less and play your way. Getting started on Prize Picks, super quick and simple. The app is easy to use. You can set your lineup in under 60 seconds. Plus, you got things like the flex play, which means like if one of the players in your lineup doesn't hit the more or less prediction that you made, well, you can still get paid. So download the Prize Picks app today and use the code LOCKEDONNBA. Get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONNBA to get $50 after your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. It's good to be right. Today's show is also brought to you by the good folks over there at your local YMCA. That's the YMCA of Columbia-Willamette for my folks here in the Portland and Vancouver metro area. At the YMCA Columbia-Willamette, they believe that everyone deserves to find their play because play connects us, strengthens us, and builds our community together. They got 3 pillars: youth development, healthy living, and social responsibility. The Y is your local nonprofit helping people of all ages move, grow, and belong across the Portland and Vancouver metro areas. So if you are interested in checking out the YMCA, do it right now because during January, they're going to waive your sign-up fees. You'll save $75 on your first year if you go ahead and sign up. And then once you do, you'll find 6 courts and a full fitness center at the Beavers New YMCA. You'll find families that are swimming and playing pickleball at the Clark County and Sherwood YMCAs, plus family activities all year long, brand new workout equipment at all 3 branches, and so much more. And with YMCA camps, childcare, and enrichment sites throughout the region, the Y gives kids safe, fun spaces to learn, play, and build confidence all year long. I am a member of the YMCA as an adult. I'm a child of YMCA camps. It has been great for me. It could be great for you too. So go check it out. Find your play at the Y. Visit ymcacw.org/pod. That's ymcacw.org/pod, or follow them on YouTube and Instagram at ymcacw. All right. So the Blazers, that game against the Spurs was just a good game because I thought, they hot shooting. He makes 6 threes in the first quarter. Like, you're going to come back to life. Blazers, like, we've seen a lot of this year if you follow the team closely. It's like they shoot really well, and then they have stretches where they just like, they're one of they're a team that struggles to make outside shots with consistency. One of the worst shooting teams in the league. It's just the reality of it. So when they do have those games where it's like, oh, they're making everything. Wow, I can't believe it. Like, you can't believe it for a reason. They kind of come back to earth a little bit, and they did. But like, they responded. They responded when the Spurs cut it to 4. They responded when the Spurs took the lead in the third quarter. They responded and got enough. Deni hits a huge shot with a minute left after the Spurs cut it to 1 and had a chance to take the lead. Like, that's a good win precisely because they kind of had to hold on and make it happen. I thought that was a really good game, and I think Deni was awesome. awesome the night before in New Orleans. He was, he had the statistical symmetry that we all crave with 29, 11, and 10. That's a triple-double. And the first triple-double of Deni Avdija's career in which he did not score 30 points. He's his fifth triple-double of his career and third of the season. He'd always had a 30-burger in, I guess a 30-piece. You don't really have a 30-burger. A 30-piece in all those games. He had a mere 29 in this one. I don't think he was as good in this game. Like, he really struggled inside the arc. He was 6 of 17 on twos in this game. The Spurs did a really good job. I think the Blazers are playing their best basketball, and Deni is a huge reason why, right? He's their best player, and he's having this all-star year. He's having, if this keeps up, he's having one of the great statistical seasons in the history of the Portland Trail Blazers. Like, who's hooping, right? He's just playing extremely well. But the Blazers kind of run superstar offense through Deni, right? They say, what do you do best? Let's let you go to work. They hunt mismatches. They'll bring up the screen part, who he wants in the dance, try to get a smaller guy on him that Deni can use his strength to go after and chase down. And a lot of times in this game, it was De'Aaron Fox. Like, he's just said, okay, Deni feels like he's stronger than Fox, feels like it's a good matchup for him. They did it late. In the second half a bunch. I thought the Spurs because Shaedon Sharpe really struggled in this game. He really struggled. He didn't play down the stretch. He was 3 of 16, had 6 points, Tiago Splitter just said, "Okay, you're not going to close. You're not going to close." Respect to Tiago Splitter for that. It was a great decision because it's hard to do that. It's hard to do that with sort of name recognition and a new coach and hey, he's our best player. He's supposed to be this, and this. But it is. At times, as a coach, you just have to make the call, and that it was tough. I thought the Spurs really, 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 really did a good job of sitting on Shaedon Sharpe's strong hand and forcing him left and forcing him into tough shots in a crowd. I thought they defended him really well. They did the same thing with Deni. Like I said, I think Mitch Johnson is a really good coach because even on the switches with Fox, so competitive, jumping Denny's right hand and forcing him back left, so competitive. I thought the Spurs did a really good job. Crowd the paint. Make it tough. You know what the Blazers' best players want to do. They want to shoot twos, right? So the best offensive players, Sharpe and Deni, want to shoot twos. They will shoot threes. Deni particularly will shoot some threes off the bounce. The Blazers don't really want Shaedon Sharpe to take a ton of step back threes. They want him to limit his 3-point attempts to catch and shoot threes. I've heard Tiago Splitter mention it. It's a great idea. But I thought the Spurs defended Deni really well in this game, and he still had a friggin' 29-point triple-double. Again, not his most efficient nights, but the Blazers kind of just need him to. Because he's their best shot creator, I feel the same way about Sharpe to some extent as well, although he struggled in this game. They just need him to soak up possessions. It's better for Deni to take a hard shot often than to ask someone else to, hey, Toumani Camara, take a jumper off the dribble. That's just a worse bet. And I thought the Blazers just... I thought Deni really... I thought he was not as good against San Antonio, and I thought a lot of that was because San Antonio kind of locked in on what they needed to do. But he was hooping. He was awesome in this game. Donovan Clingan, as I mentioned, 14 in the first quarter. He finished with 24 points, 12 boards, 4 assists, 9 of 12 from the floor, hit 3 of 5 from 3. He was really, really good. Toumani hits 5 threes against the Spurs, 9 threes and 4 against New Orleans, 5, 9 threes over the weekends. I think. De'Aaron Fox was not very good in this game. He ended up having a totally fine box score, but I thought particularly through the first 3 quarters, he was not any good. San Antonio needed more from him, and he didn't have it. And this just, like I said, I think this game or this weekend, right, where Deni dominant, Blazers play a super clean game and get this sort of get the balance they need. 23 from in New Orleans, 23 from Shea, 22 from Caleb Love. Toumani hits threes. Donovan Clingan dominates the glass, right? He's awesome. And I thought San Antonio was a little bit different, right? Because it wasn't as clean of a game. They still didn't turn the ball over a ton, just 11. But Toumani had 4 and Deni had 4. Their sort of key guys were turning the ball over a fair amount. 4 is right at Deni's season average, so he had a normal game. But 4 is too many for Toumani for how much he's on the ball. I think 4 is you'd like Deni to have fewer, but he's on the ball a lot. He's doing everything. He's doing everything. He's going to turn the ball over some. That's just got to be baked into it. But I thought just sort of in general, the fact that their formula has been you get 50 combined points from Sharpe and Deni. They got 57, right, in New Orleans. And then someone else scores you get enough threes, Caleb Love, Tumani, whoever it might be, Sita Sissoko, like you get enough threes and you have a chance, right? And that's been their formula. You need a 50 combined from Shaden and Deni, and then like a tertiary scorer, and probably to like hit more free throws than the other team. Win the possession battle, like get more shots. And against the Spurs, they don't get that sort of go-to, right? Shaden Sharp has 6, but Caleb Love, 16 off the bench, 20 from Tumani, 24 from Donovan, finding a way to win. And I think it speaks to kind of what we've seen. This is their best stretch of play all year. They've won 4 of 5. They haven't like strung together wins with any consistency, right? This has not been something they've done. I guess a couple weeks, 10 days ago, a week ago, they did win back-to-back games against the Kings and then beat the Warriors, but they didn't play well in either of those Sacramento games. Those were not heartening games. Like the first game they won in Portland against the Kings was just like, oh wow, they won the game. They did not play well enough to earn it. And then they just like survived in just a gross shooting night against Sacramento. So it's not a good game. Neither team scored 100, and the Blazers offense was no good, and the Kings were even worse, amazingly. But like they haven't strung together wins like this. But I want to talk about that in the third segment to close the show. Like this is the best stretch they've played. This is the best basketball they've played all year long. And there's a couple sort of reasons why I think they've kind of settled into playing better. Let's talk about that to close the show. Join me in that third segment, won't ya? First, though, I want to tell you that today's show is brought to you by Quo. New year, new systems. This is the time when a lot of us look at the messier parts of how you might be running your business and think there has to be a better way, and there is. Streamlining your communications is one of the quickest upgrades you can make. That's why today's episode is brought to you by Quo, spelled Q-U-O, the smarter way to run your business comms. That's your business communications, because when your team is reachable, organized, and communicating in one place, you're not just working cleaner, you're creating more opportunities to connect with customers. You're going to love using Quo because it makes everything's so simple. Your whole team can call and text from one shared business number so nothing gets missed. Everyone can see the full conversation so you can reply quickly and jump on customer needs, which are much more personal because everyone on your team is seeing the same thing. And it works right from your phone, or it can work from your computer so you can keep your existing number and still make it happen when you're on the go, and your whole team can do the same. It's no surprise. Quo is the #1 rated business phone system on G2, trusted by more than 90,000 businesses, from solo operators to growing teams. Make this year where no opportunity and no customer slips away. Try Quo for free. Plus, get 20% off your first 6 months when you go to quo.com/LockedOnNBA. That's QUO.com/LockedOnNBA. Quo. No missed calls, no missed customers. Still a pass first point guard. I'm still Mike Richmond, and you still listen to Locked On Blazers. Donovan Clingan has found his rhythm and his confidence over the last few weeks. He's really shooting well from the outside. Pretty limited volume. The Spurs game was an anomaly in terms of volume, but it's not an anomaly in terms of makes. Like he's just shooting really well from 3 over the last month. But I have highlighted in a previous show that it's over the last 5 or 10 games that the 2-point percentage has really ticked up. And so much of that, you can just see it as confidence. I know the Blazers got absolutely demolished against OKC. Non-competitive game, just like it's like, oh yeah, the Thunder on a totally different stratosphere. Nothing worked. You get blown out. It's non-competitive over the final 12 minutes. Like it's just a beatdown. But there was a moment in that game. Donovan Clingan caught it on the left block against Chet Holmgren, and Chet had an awesome game. Blocked 6 shots, dominated the inside against the Blazers. But he's not a strong person, right? He's a skinny young man, and Clingan caught it on the block and threw a shoulder into him, and it wasn't like a pure drop step, like old school drop step, but kind of a wide step to get his shoulders past, and then a shuffle step to get to the rim and turn around, score to the basket, and dunked. And it's like, man, we haven't seen him like put together a dribble hit footwork post move, not 5 times all season, right? First of all, they just don't throw it to him in the post very often. It's just not going to happen, and he's not very good there, and has not been very good during his career. So it's not like I don't think they're leaving any meat on the bone there necessarily, but like that capability, when you have the opportunity and the mismatch, go for it. I think there was a moment in the Spurs game as well, when he caught the ball inside against Luke Cornett and had a similar move. Power dribble to load up, throw your shoulder into him, and it's not a true drop step. It's more like a wide step to get space. But Clingan's so big that wide step works. He scores inside on a putback in that situation. His confidence has really, really soared on offense, and that's huge because they just need not just another score, but a score from another way. They need to be able to score in ways that aren't just like, I hope Shaedon Sharpe hits this 19-foot pull-up. I hope Deni Avdija can bully and get back to his right hand and score. Both of those dudes can do that a lot, but it's just not sustainable. Like I said, it's like you're thinking like, okay, they're going to score 50, and how else are you going to score? Well, the how else are you going to score has been a lot cleaner recently. Toumani Camara has been up and down as a shooter this year, but he's kind of settled into being above a 34% shooter. Like he's pushing back towards league average. When he makes threes, they win. Caleb Love has been way better over the last 2 weeks after a very inefficient and high volume inefficiency beginning to his career. But I would say over the last 2 or 3 weeks, Love has really figured out. I think some of it is shot selection, some of it is ball go in. But obviously the shot selection helps the ball go in. I think he's dialed in where he can help, and they've been a little bit better on defense recently. Over the last 2 weeks, Clean the Glass has them up at 14th on defense. That's huge because the offense is probably always going to be a bit of a slog. But if they're an above average defensive team that can, they have an all-star level creator and they can kind of pick their spots. This is not like, I'm not here to sell you on the Blazers being the 5th best team in the West or whatever. I'm here to sell you on this team finding the best version of themselves over the last week, and I think that's undeniable. You beat Boston. That's a nice win. You beat Dallas. Not a great win, but you find a way to win the game, you don't give it away. It looked like they were going to roll. Dallas comes back. Get smoked by OKC, but you're still out on the road and you win back-to-back games on the road to finish out the week at 4-1. That's an awesome stretch, quite frankly. It's an awesome stretch because those are all losable games. I think you would say the Blazers would be dogs, like home dogs against Boston. And they were, light favorites against Dallas, obviously big underdogs against Oklahoma City. Probably maybe even road favorites against New Orleans or because at tip-off because based on who New Orleans had available. And underdogs in San Antonio, even with San Antonio's MASH unit. And they were. They're winning some games where, the sort of, the prognosticators would not have picked them. But they're also winning games because, they kind of have, and Toumani mentioned this in a recent interview I was talking with him, is they've had a lot of close games and they were struggling a lot in those close games. And I kind of said, do you feel the comfort? And he says some of it is just when guys first got hurt, there was new players in the rotation. And even if those new players are worse than even if Caleb Love is worse than Drew Holiday, which I think is a non-controversial factual statement, and Chris Murray's worse than Jeremy Grant, just the comfort of knowing who's going to be out there. And Toumani kind of mentioned that. It's the familiarity in those close moments where it's kind of know what we're going to do. Then there is a comfort there. That quick hit ahead after the Fox floater with 2.5 minutes left to Toumani on the wing. He ran the break to, they're running off a make, right? But he ran and fanned to the wing. That's a comfortable spot for him. They hit ahead and he shoots it with confidence, right? They looked for him. He knew the shot was going to be there and they want him to shoot quick. They want him to take that shot. And then when they'd had a lot of trouble late in that game, it's Deni, go hit a superstar shot, go bail us out. Right. And he does. And maybe that's not necessarily sustainable. And I'm not trying to pitch you on it is, but they kind of know who they are, right? They know who they are. They need Deni to be really good. Shaedon wasn't good against San Antonio, but he was good against New Orleans. They need him to score his 20, and he's been there. And he's kind of found his after a really rough start to the season. Sharpe has been totally fine on offense. There's obviously ups and downs, right? But I think for the most part, he's kind of settled into being a predictably productive in ways and kind of shoring up some of the bad shooting choices he made early in the season. They kind of have you're getting Caleb Love, because he's playing so much and getting this normal nightly role, he comes in with confidence, knowing he's going to play. He can play through mistakes. He's kind of dialed in what shots are good and what shots are bad. CD Sissoko, even when he doesn't make shots, brings some good energy, and they've got those. They're getting some good minutes from those guys. Donovan Clingan's been awesome. Rob Williams, who did not play in that second night of a back-to-back against the Spurs, he's playing limited minutes. I think he's capped right around 27, 28 based on Splitter hasn't mentioned it specifically, but he's mentioned a couple times, alluded to that Rob is up against his minutes limit, and it's right around that 27, 28 minute mark. Like, they're not going to play him more than that. And he's given them positive minutes in those stretches. Like, I think they have just figured out how it works for them. It's not going to work every time, and they're not blowing teams out. They're going to win games down the stretch by making plays, and maybe you need Derek White and Jaylen Brown to make some mistakes, and okay, you survive against Boston, but those final seconds, like, you earn over the first 47 minutes of the game, you earn, a minute of where it can come down to a toss-up, a minute where one bad mistake by the team gives you the win. You earn close games by playing well. Sometimes you earn close games by giving up a big lead, playing poorly. But I thought they responded really well in San Antonio. They won a comfortable game in New Orleans. This is the best basketball they've played. And now they're heading home for a stretch of games at home with Utah coming up on Monday. And after you were listening to Monday's program, but on Monday evening, they'll play the Jazz, and they get 2 against the Rockets on Wednesday and Friday. And the Jazz, depending on who's available, are either really plucky because Keontae George has been good and Lauri Markkanen is good. And Keontae George has been awesome this year. They can be really, really good on offense if they got their crew. But if they don't, they're pretty bad. But Houston is legitimately good. Alperen Şengün is on the injury report, so I don't know if Houston will have their all-star center, but if they do, I am interested to see if the Blazers can take care of business where they'll be favorites, and they are currently as I'm recording this at home against the Jazz, and 2 tough games Wednesday and Friday against a straight up championship caliber team in Houston. This is the challenge for good teams for teams kind of finding their way, right? Is consistency. It's not whether you think the Blazers can be good. Obviously, they've had some moments when they can be. It's whether you can sustain that play, right? Because their path, I think they're going to be a low-level play-in team. They're going to be 9 or 10 pretty comfortably. There's a chance that they slip to 11 or whatever, depending on what happens with some teams. But they're going to be right in the mix for a postseason berth. But the chances for them to be stay ahead of the game is whether they can be consistent. And for a week now, we've seen them, except for one stinker against the best team in the league, be pretty darn consistent in their play. They're playing their best basketball, and they figured it out in a way that seems, not an obvious path home, a way that a lot of it revolves around Deni's excellence. Shaedon Sharp's going to give you his 20 or 22, and you're going to find other guys to fill in the gaps. And Clingan has filled in gaps really well recently. Toumani Camara, Caleb Love. They're kind of figuring it out. And I think this week will be a good test of how much they actually have figured out, because it's Utah, Houston, and then the Knicks on Sunday afternoon. So fun week of hoops ahead. I will have you covered with maybe some I'll get a guest on here as well. I'm planning on it. That's what we do 5 days a week, wherever you get podcasts, also on YouTube. I appreciate you listening. Tell your friends about the podcast. I will talk to you soon.